And now, an XCW special presentation of Men of Honor Season 5.
Welcome back to the winter season. This is Season 5 of Men of Honor. It's huge. This is the 35th episode of Men of Honor. That is crazy to think. To think about me and you and Chris and Genocide and Carnage. We were all in that very first episode. And to be here 5 seasons later.
And then even the 3 times before that.
Right. So here we are, Men of Honor, Season 5. Episode 35. We're going to be talking about the best of 2015. We're going to kind of recap what happened this past year in 2015. How we're in 2016. This is our kickoff to 2016. But joining me here on today's Men of Honor panel, we've got the man who is the Extreme Champion almost all of 2015, The Solution, Ryan Grayson.
New Age,
yes. New Age, my bad. We also have the man who is a member of the royalty for all of 2015 and closed out 2015 as the man on top, the XCW Champion, Chris Jones. The man who may have wrestled his final match in 2015, Kenny Hazard Chaos. And the man who teamed up with me and wreaked all kinds of havoc and spent most of the year as the international champion, Brandon Hark Robs. 2015. What, did you just make a monkey noise? 2015.
Better nigger nose.
Right. That came from Men of Honor.
Yeah, it did.
2015, seen some different names for shows, seen some different moves, different superstars. Let's talk about. Let's go down the road here. We start off with Cold Day in Hell, which seen the final match of Tommy Merriman this season. He's been out all year with an injury. His final match was against Hazard at Cold Day in Hell, and it was brutal. And it actually won Match of the Year at the Viewers' Choice Awards this year. And on top of that, we had crazy things happen at Cold Day in Hell. Jacob Cyanide made his return for one night only to kind of fill in for James Cerebral, who broke his ankle earlier in the day. We had a Sadistic Madness first blood between Carnage and Brandon, and it was just nasty. As well as a dog collar chain between me and Genocide that got kind of rough. Starting out the season between Cold Day and X-Rated, anything that stand out to you guys? Anything you want to talk about? Want to touch base on Tommy's final match? You know, if he doesn't come back, is that a way for him to go out?
Well, considering the fact that, it just wasn't, it was really a big kickstart for the royalty to show off the dominance of, and the very end, you and Chris Jones and Psychor, myself all out there, destroying Tommy Merriman.
I don't think destroy. I think obliterate Tommy Merriman is the correct word.
Right, yeah. That was pretty gross.
It was sick. But, really, I guess you could say, it's not a way that, any wrestler really wants to go out.
Right.
Being something like that. Whereas later, as I went out on top on my choice.
Right.
But, it kind of happens. But who knows? We'll see Tommy Merriman or not.
What do you guys think?
Go ahead.
Being the match of the year, okay, you guys said it yourselves. First off, that's an honor.
Right.
For the last 2 years, back-to-back years, I do believe. Most extreme, which is really hard to do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you guys,
especially when you're up
match
against
of the years.
when you're up against death matches.
Exactly.
A triple threat death match. We'll talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah, which two of the men sitting here were in it. Speaking of, whenever you say going out with that kind of injury and finishing pretty much either his career or hoping for him to come back, yes, it's a good way to go out, but then again, it sucks because you're out with a fucking injury.
Right.
I think I'm with Hazard on this one. On the opposite end of the fence, going out with the injury or whatever, I was gone for a year.
Right.
And the whole time I talked to you throughout being gone, what was our conversation about? What am I doing when I get back?
Right. And the couple times I have talked to Tommy, other than his personal life, his family, and so on and so forth, he was constantly asked about the shows. So
Maybe there's hope for us, yeah.
only time will tell. Okay. We got to talk about this. It was a complete bust, and Chris could talk about this probably the most. Jacob Cyanide made a one-night return. Surprised or not? And did anything come out of it other than cover for James Cerebral, literally?
Personally, when I seen him, didn't know who he was because I didn't see Jacob Cyanide the first time, I don't think.
Right.
And, for me personally, I usually get thrown with some of the newer people or the people that are coming back.
Right.
And I think it was a waste of my time, to be honest.
I'd agree with that.
It's the same situation like if I would have had to wrestle Kalen Kodiak. I felt like that was a waste of my time. And I don't like the match because it was a tag team match, if I do believe so. And I don't like the fact that I have like one of those matches on my record. It kind of reminds me back when I wrestled Cynical at SummerMania. My personal least favorite match ever. Kind of, it's a flashback to that. I don't like having that stuff kind of on my record.
Right.
Try to make someone, give them the chance, try to make them look good, and build them back up, and then they just flop on you.
Exactly. I feel with you there because any of the new talent, I'm normally the one that has to train and get them ready and set for the match, and
But injuries hit hard this year, too. Do you think maybe there's an injury that we don't know about? Or is this just a matter of he was our letdown?
I think he was more of a letdown.
Well, let me ask you a question. You said that something about is there injuries we don't know about. When's the last time you were 100%?
True.
Sitting on the table for the second half of the year, I'm sure he's 100% now.
When's the last time consistently wrestling you were 100%?
I understand that.
Good point.
We've all got our injuries that we don't tell each other about, but...
Right.
Well, we're getting older, okay?
Braden's getting older.
yes, everybody knows it's my birthday today.
Yes, it
Fuck
is.
that shit. I'm 27 today, and I'm still here after 8 years.
Yeah.
Okay? I've been through a lot of bullshit. The hardcore matches, the singles, the tags, the crazy stuff that
And
we
then
do.
you're also completely different from the rest of the roster, whereas you came from the independent circuit to
Yes.
us. We went from the backyard to getting trained on the independent circuit and then going back to the backyard.
Yes, you're right about that. And see, whenever we all met in the indie circuit, whenever we all decided, well, we didn't decide, they did, that we were a bunch of piss-ons. Okay? Yes, that's what they pretty much called us. Yard tards. Okay? This goes back in history, like you wanted to bring up. Us, we have talent. They were probably afraid of that talent because they seen our potential. Because they're dumb.
Possibly.
There was a few times
But
that
whenever we're
go
here, sorry. With that being said, we're not always 100%. Nobody ever
Right.
is. You know, you can come in at one show and you can have a cold. Or Roddy can have bronchitis to the point where he's coughing so hard that he's got bruised lungs inside. Me personally, I've been so sick before where I've had a match.
No, I'm
I've
just kidding.
coughed my lungs up in the middle of the match and went into the back and then puked. You know, excessively. And
Here, while we're on the topic of injuries, we know that James Cerebral went out with pretty bad
ankle break.
ankle break, yeah. And that led to X-Rated, which was a mess. That was the show that was, everything was covered in snow, it was slippery. Somehow, some way, we made it through the show, and we made it worth watching. Somehow. But in that match, the big standout is the New Age Championship Battle Royal. James Cerebral was the champ, went out hurt. And Ryan Grayson went on to win that match, became New Age champion for almost the entire 2015 season.
Good job, buddy.
Just a few shows shy of all season.
that motherfucker.
That motherfucker. That's a good one. Now you're starting to sound like me.
But, for the first time ever, though, following that was almost the straw that broke camel's back with the injury, and we pretty much had to redo all the plans that we had for 2015. Once Boiling Point, one of our brand new shows, came up in late March, Hazard and I are the main writers of the show. We literally sat down and was just like, listen, we can't do it. For the first time in almost 13 years in XCW, we have never just sat down and had to completely rewrite a season over again. 2015 was the first year for that. We took some low blows. We lost Matt Chitchell. We lost James Cerebral.
Austin Chaos.
Austin Chaos went down with an injury at the same time. And at Boiling Point actually gave this championship up.
And that messed up, like, Austin Chaos was a big part throughout the whole year. Like, we had it planned all the way down to, like, Summer Mania. With
Right.
the spot with me and you, Extreme King, was supposed to be me and Austin. Me and Austin were actually supposed to be a tag team for a short time.
Right.
And all the injuries, everything.
So, with that being said, the rewrite, that everything was wiped clean. Everyone almost got a clean slate, which started ST3. Now, in your guys' opinion, all of us were a part of ST3. What did ST3 do for this season? Was it a positive turnaround, or was it basically what it was, our move of desperation? Did it work?
Yes.
Actually, it was.
Yes,
a little
it
bit
did, because some fact it gave someone like LOL, who you would never ever expect to ever come out on top of something like that, and he did,
He crawled.
and that like jump started a whole new thing with LOL.
Yeah.
And which is something I absolutely enjoyed watching. Really, I enjoyed the Super Tournament.
And it was
Yeah.
and it was a shock that it was LOL at the end.
It didn't
And a lot
even-
of people didn't see it
It didn't
coming.
even.
Poor Grayson.
It didn't even just escalate. LOL, it brought so much more about that. Of course, LOL winning the world title, no one would expect it, but it also helped escalate, the thing with Michaela and
Yep.
Ryan Grayson and,
What I'm going through right
and
now.
Fletch. and just
You just can't get away from her.
it even tried to revive the me and Austin thing, kind of.
Right.
It almost had revived that. Then Austin went down with another injury.
Right.
But ST3 was a big part for jump-starting the future of 2015.
In your opinion, was ST3 even better than ST2 and ST1? Because
No.
I almost feel like ST3 was our most successful tournament ever.
Really, I think for the wow factor of LOL winning it, where that was something like all the big guys, me, you, and Chris Jones and all that, already went down.
Right, yeah, we went down early in the tournament.
So that leaves, nothing against Grayson, but, someone like Grayson and LOL.
Well, you're talking about 12-year, 13, 16-year veterans as opposed to someone who's... Right, so it's not a knock at any of them.
Yeah,
it's
like
just...
half a century experience.
Right.
But I think, honestly, with the wow factor and the way it all played out, yes, I think it was probably the best SC3 we've had.
I think
With SC2 being obviously the worst.
Yeah. ST1 was big in the simple fact, like, granted, it was the first one we'd ever done, but ST1 had a lot of things that you would never thought we'd have seen. Like, how often would you think you would have seen a Chris Jones versus Rob Slater,
or Chris Jones versus Devil,
or Dylan Bostic,
right?
And then
But some of those things, some of the same things came from this year. Like, I think it was some of the match types that was played in. Okay, look at this. Sin. In Sin, we had Jesse Justice, Psycho Circus Clown, Brandon Hobbs, Corey Lee in a table match, which seen Hazard interfere. We've seen LOL Fletch in a Canadian Lumberjack match. We've seen Grayson and Hazard in a First Blood, which you guys hadn't worked together previous to that, had you? Maybe one-off
once.
couple...
Maybe Battle Royal.
And I think that was another cool thing about what came from ST3 is that we seen some matches that we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And I think that was really valuable to 2015 as a whole, not just ST3, but you also got to think about we had at Emergence, we had Corey Lee go against Billy Nova for the first time.
Yes.
We had different matches like that. Chris Jones later in the season went against Kevin Harris for the first time in a world title picture.
And it jump-started Kevin Harris to already got another championship.
We see Corey Lee go against Dorgon for the first time since 2010. 5 years after Corey Lee had left the Cruiserweight division, rekindled a match against Dorgon. We've seen a huge star come out of this time period, though, and I want to touch base on him. Ox Cannon.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Ox Cannon, in my opinion, in 2014, was solid. So solid. And then 2015 started solid again. And when I was like, Ox Cannon is the next big star. And let's be honest. I don't think Kevin Harris or Void would have been in the spots that they were moving up in the ladder. I don't think that they would have been as good. Kevin Harris would have never made it to that match against you had Ox Cannon still been in this company. Yes or no?
No.
No.
But as the year progressed, Ox Cannon slowly lost all momentum, and
let his ego get the better of him.
Apparently,
it went from Ox Cannon to Loose Cannon.
Yes. That fits it right there.
But we got benefits from, losing Ox after that. It's kind of like in the NFL, certain teams, a lot of things can go against them or have to work in their favor. And for Kevin Harris, Ox Cannon being a loose cannon and leaving XCW worked in Kevin Harris's favor. DTC leaving worked in Kevin Harris's favor.
But for a match that almost, and I will say this, almost won match of the year, Chris Jones and Ox Cannon. It was just a few short votes.
Oh.
Yes.
I like working with Ox. in the ring. Like I knew Ox before he came to XCW. We
Right.
actually went to church together, and he's not quite on, I would say, the level like a you or me or you and Josh, to where you guys can like know what you guys are going to do and don't have to really communicate. There wasn't anything that me and Ox really said to each other throughout that whole match.
Ox was a very good worker. He didn't like to listen too much.
Or sell.
And
The
yes,
selling was still horrible.
but he was very talented. He was a very well-rounded wrestler. He just didn't have the mindset of it. This was kind of one of those things like wrestling for us, and wrestling in general. You have to have the mindset for it. Ox Cannon just didn't have the mindset. He was just kind of.
What do you think?
He could have gotten that mindset eventually. I just think the way that things happened.
I think at the beginning of the season he had that mindset though.
He
I don't
did.
understand what happened.
His
The loose cannon thing.
His girlfriend. I think significant others kind of play a factor when it comes to like certain wrestlers and stuff, and I think that kind of played a negative factor for us.
Early April, Ox Cannon was involved in this. We seen royalty take a toll on the storylines in XCW, huge in 2014 and 2015. A team was made when a royalty, a disgruntled employee of the royalty, Michaela, made a brand new team that she liked to call the Loyalty. The Loyalty went against the royalty in the Allegiance match. First off, we changed it from Gridiron Gang to Allegiance. Was that good or bad?
It fit.
It fit. I'll agree. It fit. You got loyalty versus royalty, and
I think
everybody coming around.
everybody on the specific sides, the Loyalty, Ryan Grayson, Corey Lee, I think the names describe the people that are part of the team.
Right.
You, myself, you, Austin Chaos.
We
We were heels.
We were an Allegiance by never, being together really on the same level before.
And we're pretty much even without the name Hazard, you, myself, we're kind of the royalty of XCW.
Right.
Definitely wasn't a question who was on whose side.
In Allegiance, Allegiance was also different from Gridiron Gang, where Gridiron Gang was a 5-on-5 elimination, as Allegiance was a 4-on-4. Allegiance is not scheduled on our card. We don't have an actual Allegiance show for 2016. However, at this point in the game, an Allegiance match, a 4-on-4 elimination style, could happen at any show.
Yeah, because you never really know. Anybody could turn on anybody the split of a second. Like, you and I were partners. I turned on you. No one expected that. Ryan Grayson could turn heel, team up with somebody. Who knows?
Or let's go with the more believable Corey Lee turning on me.
From the Allegiance spawned what we could say is the next big thing. From Allegiance came what, let's be honest, it could be the next big thing in XCW. The Catalyst, Kevin Harris. Just from his debut in Allegiance on April 18th as a part of Team Royalty, just from April 18th to Viewers' Choice Awards on December 13th, in that short span, he had already turncoat on the royalty, showed dominance, became the XCW Tag Team Champion, defeated the XCW Champion Chris Jones, and became the Extreme Champion in a huge gauntlet match that seen him face off against seasoned vets like Psycho Circus Clown, Chris Jones, and Carnage. Is this going to be the guy to beat in 2016?
Possibly. And I am going to say it. He is. It's hard to find the words. The Catalyst, Kevin Harris, is going to be the next Cena, Chris Jones, or The Flash,
Possibly.
or Hazard. You know, we don't know for sure. Alls we know for right now, he's a great natural wrestler. He's working on his charisma. You know, his mic skills are pretty decent for being just out of the gate.
Right.
He's pretty decent.
I would say Kevin Harris is about 90% complete superstar. And like
It's his mic skills.
yeah, you get people that come along.
That's what he needs.
See, because you get people that come along that can work a spot.
Right.
Like if Tommy Merriman wouldn't have what he had and was able to work a spot, we've had a couple people that can do that. Like the big spot to where the Battle Royal, I don't remember which Battle Royal it was, but we came out and we did, you know, the Randy Orton and Seth Rollins thing. We didn't think we were going to be able to get it, but we capitalized. Kevin Harris was able to do it. We did that spot. And then we did the cage match. A very good match. And it kind of surprised me how well the match went because it was raining.
Right.
And it still worked out well. Everything sold. It was perfect. And then to go on to the gauntlet match, because like you said, beating the seasoned vets, and then me playing my character, you know, attack him, put him through the table to be able to get up and then come in and beat another superstar like Carnage and come out on top. Kevin Harris, 90% complete superstar.
Okay, how about this? A non-complete superstar. On the same day as Kevin Harris's training began, and the same day he debuted, another guy came in with him. Kalen Kodiak. We had Kalen Kodiak. He's cousins with Jesse Justice. Both men went down in our show at the exact same time. What went wrong with Kalen and Jesse in XCW?
Jesse Justice, going back to the injuries like we were talking about earlier, I did come to find out that Jesse Justice did have a very badly torn meniscus muscle in his knee.
But that wouldn't have kept Jesse Justice from maintaining a spot in XCW.
Yes.
And especially in a time when we were desperate for a commentator.
Yes, I agree with that.
And Jesse could talk. Even if he were to walk up to me tomorrow and ask for a commentating spot, it would be open to him.
Well, as you say, Jesse Justice
lost his drive.
He when that match at Fallen Earth, I do believe it was Fallen Earth.
Yes,
Or
yes, it was.
when I went to go and give him the elbow, and his knee had twisted in that sick, demented way, you know, it's not hard to take a bump. We all know this. But when something goes wrong with your body and it fights against you from doing something, it just works against you. And I wish Jesse Justice would come back, whether it be commentating or, you know, to actually be healed up to come and wrestle for us again. It was a great gimmick.
Right.
As for Kalen Kodiak, I think that was a mistake. But then again,
Just didn't have the drive.
he did not have the drive. Like Hazard said earlier with Ox Cannon. Ox Cannon had that mindset.
Do you think Kalen could have acquired the skill enough to be?
No, he didn't have the heart.
It's
Fair
like,
enough.
it's like a draft. You're gonna get a bust. You're gonna get a fucking superstar. Look at Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf.
No.
Look at that. Then look at something like Stephen Curry getting drafted like 8th or whatever when he did. There's like 3 people ahead of him that were bust. We got Kevin Harris, and then Ryan Leaf, Kalen Kodiak. We got the good person out of the deal, so.
No, that's
Thank God that worked out for us. Just saying. It's unfortunate that we lost, what was it, 4 superstars before that show.
Genocide and Kalen were supposed to be the original movement, which we know to become LOL and Genocide later in the season, which even starting in 2016 is a success story.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
So, again, like you guys were talking about earlier, something happened from something else that made something better. Maybe it was supposed to happen that way. But at Fallen Earth, we crowned the new XCW champion. LOL defeated Ryan Grayson in an I Quit match.
You quit.
Yep.
That was my fault.
Yep. Dick.
That's great.
And it led to good stories, and not only between you guys, it pushed down the road for between you and Corey Lee and Michaela.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then her turncoating.
And then the storyline with me and Josh, you know, me and Fletch as the Legion of Monsters, you know, and then versus the movement, you know. Once again, great storylines that come out of shithole things that apparently didn't work out for the better.
The build to SummerMania always begins at Extreme King. Extreme King this year seen a first ever, a co-winner. Myself and Chris Jones. And this was big for my career because I had spent the majority of the year prior to this being on the table. And I was coming back in to reprove myself.
Mm-hmm.
This was huge for Chris, who had at all costs been pushed aside in the title picture. Whether it been losing a fatal 4-way match with Hazard and Ox Cannon
And if you actually look at the camera,
and Corey Lee.
I did have the pin first,
Right.
and it led to down the road the thing with me and
A
Hazard.
series of events led. You know, Chris had a pin at the same time as Hazard. Hazard got the fall. And then here we are, Extreme King.
And we tied.
Me and Chris pin each other at the same time. We're co-winners. This is huge. I mean, in all the years we've done Extreme King, there's never been a co-winner. Was this a good decision or a bad decision? And how did this affect Chris's eventual win at SummerMania for the championship? Plus, on top of that, in the same night, Hazard defeated LOL for the championship.
I feel like it was really only one-sided. I mean, looking back at it, you really didn't get anything out of that whatsoever. I mean, pretty much
Right.
Chris reaped the benefits, and you just kind of got swept off to the side for that fact.
How did it come down to a decision to where I was the actual contender?
Myself, me and you had a match at Greed.
That's
We
what
were
it
both
was.
attacked by a returning Austin Chaos, who accepted the challenge of Hazard prior to the night. But basically, you went nuts, and at Emergence, you said that no matter what, you were gonna find a way into the championship match. And you faced off against Genocide. You defeated him. They got you your title shot. But also later in the night, if Austin Chaos defeated Hazard, he too would earn himself a spot for a title which he never actually lost, which ended up in the triple threat match.
That's it.
Around this same time, though, as the Carnage Brandon Hobbs feud for a majority of the year was coming to an end, we seen the reemergence of Billy Supernova. What did this do for the XCW? And is he going to be a success this time, or is he going to fall flat on his face like he does every time he's ever been next to?
It really depends, because Billy coming back helped pull Brandon away from Stevie Goebel and the international title picture, and it's giving something that XCW's never seen. When's the last time you've seen Chris Jones wrestle Brandon Hobbs? You've never seen it. It's never happened.
Exactly.
And then it's throwing Billy in that picture, and now Billy's getting to wrestle people like, well, he wrestled Stevie Goebel, he's got to wrestle Corey Lee, James.
Right.
So I think him coming back is a good thing. And now, whereas Willie Flop, I don't think he'll be in XCW the whole more than half of 2016.
Definitely on the fence whether he's going to stick with it or not. Just basing it off of past history.
How much success is he going to have if
He does stay.
he does stay, though?
If he does stay,
International at best.
You have to
international
think.
at best.
Yeah, because you have to think. Look,
Think of what we already got right now. We got
Exactly.
James Gerke, Money in the Bank. Chris Jones, world title. You, Gunnan, Kevin Harris coming up. Corey Lee, international at best.
Yeah.
and you have to
I
think.
agree.
What about Stevie Goebel? Where's this put Stevie?
Oh,
International at best.
yeah.
Billy's got a lot
maybe in King of the Mountain and winning it.
Okay.
But
I can see that.
Stevie
Going
Goble
next year.
was he was a success in 2015.
you have to be able to work with the
Only by
higher ups.
popular demand.
You have to be able to work with higher ups to be able to get those higher spots, and you got to think. Like I've talked to Billy outside wrestling, because it's a possibility that one of my characters will have to wrestle Billy. So I'm asking, what kind of moves do you think you can add? And everything he's wanting to come up with is something that I don't think I'm gonna be able to do.
Right.
Because can you do a moonsault even though you don't wrestle? Could you do a moonsault? I mean, you can't moonsault. He's gonna be able to do it to Brent Hobbs. and Corey Lee.
But we've also seen Billy Nova be able to have a straight up match. His match with Corey Lee wasn't all acrobatics.
No, it wasn't.
That was a straight up match.
He can adapt.
Billy Nova, I think he can. But I do wonder how long it's going to last.
And if he doesn't,
That's unfortunate.
if he doesn't turn like Ox Cannon,
You know, me being family to Billy Nova, I'm going to say this. Yes, you're right. It's a sketchy, thin line when it comes to Billy Nova. You know, me as his family, hell, I don't know if he's even going to show up to the fucking family reunion. First off. Two, with this time around, I personally am trying to keep him coming because he's got that potential. He has potential. Okay?
Right. Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
keeping him there because of, you know, whether it be family issues or
Right.
whether it be work issues, or, you know.
But that's something that
That's-
everybody else works out, and he don't.
Exactly. And that's
That's
where
something
I'm
that
trying to
needs
help
to
him
change.
out with.
Right. Okay, one answer. It's a yes or no question for each of you. Devil won his first singles championship, the Extreme Championship. Good or bad for the season? Good or bad for Devil's career?
good.
Great.
Or both?
Well, you said
Both.
You said one word answer. Good.
Yes or no
Yep.
for each.
Good for Devil winning to push somebody else's career.
Okay?
Gurky.
Definitely helped the season, not himself.
Okay?
I'm same with Ryan.
What do you think?
It's good for both. Simple fact, he got Gurky going. And it was good for his career. He never held a singles title by himself.
Right,
New Age title does not count because he held it with Nightmare.
right. Now, while on the topic of James Gerke, he changed his character. Had a standout feud against Nightmare without his opponent being there all year.
Yeah.
He had a standout rivalry with someone who was not even around. What does that say about James Gerke? And then to go on to eventually beat him on the biggest show of the year, and then later on reestablish himself completely by putting himself in a position he has not been in 5 years, an XCW championship position, by having Money in the Bank. What happened with James Gerke? It's a 360.
I'm going to reiterate a phrase that everybody knows. Third time's a charm. Deacon Gerke, Madman James Gerke, now the Prince of Pain James Gerke. And it's kind of, the world's kind of rotating back around. Like, he started with me being the world champion. What's to expect between Chris Jones and James Gerke in 2016?
Well, as rough as things were in the XCW this year, with us, like I said, having to rewrite in the middle of the season and everything else, we always strive to make SummerMania the biggest, baddest, best show possible. We've seen some strange matches. Fletch on the pre-show wrestling SWAT Man. We've seen an all-masked man, King of the Mountain. We even seen James Gerke face Nightmare, who hadn't even been here all season. And we even had some strange matches with some strange teams, such as DTC and Kevin Harris against LOL and Genocide. And the hardest part is SummerMania is trying to make it not lackluster. Trying to make it the best show of the year. The undercard was strange. Did SummerMania deliver this year?
Yes.
I feel like it did.
Yes, it did.
I mean, think about SummerMania 9 and 10. Those were definitely standout SummerManias over any SummerMania prior to that. SummerMania 1 through 7 or 8 was... You knew it was the biggest show of the year, but there wasn't anything different that made it stand out. Not a bigger stage, special entrances. Though that didn't really start until SummerMania 9. When Fletch and Chris Jones had the epic match that, was all about Chris taking over XCW's ownership.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to me. And then later on, AEW spawned off of that, and we know where that all went. SummerMania 9 and 10 were huge. SummerMania 11, with a season rewrite and lack of stars, didn't live up.
Definitely made it work with what we had.
I don't even think we need the excuses, the injuries, having to rewrite. I think it pushed itself up to the point to where it can contend with 9 and 10 because you got to see your first ever triple threat death match.
Right.
You got to see the Brandon Hobbs, Billy Novus,
The
Stevie
Sign of
Goebel.
Madness match between Grayson and Corey Lee.
And you got to see Stevie Goebel finally,
break out of his shell and become a star. Right.
And we knew we had to kind of push the envelope, so to speak. Like, before our match, I'm like, what are we going to do? We need to make it really big. I say, okay, I want to take a bump on concrete.
This was also the farewell match of Hazard.
Which I think pushes it up there with the 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Hazard leaving all out there, you got the mirrors, you got the firecrackers, the flaming table, the kendo sticks, everything, the Barbie.
One thing we're not going to talk about is the collision course, because when we went retro this year, it really was a bust. That's one thing I'm sure we can all agree on.
Yeah.
As opposed to, especially 2 years ago, that was killer. They had Cruiserweight title and Colton Kravitz, and it was great. Now let's talk about the closing of the year. Let's talk about our switch over to Planet Creekmore. This is where it all began. From All or Nothing, Night of Champions, Halloween Havoc, and Breakdown. From a season that started with nothing. It was a broke down show. And it even at one point in August, prior to SummerMania, we thought it was the end. Like, we thought we were not going to bounce back. We were not going to be able to make a show worth watching. I say, for the months of October and November, was the most solid finish to a year since 2011, when Hazard returned at All or Nothing, and the Untouchables was formed. Agree or not?
Yes.
Think about it. The ends of the seasons have become almost more epic than SummerMania and the beginning of the seasons.
It's kind of the cliffhanger that leaves you, okay, so what's XCW coming back at the beginning of the year?
The Untouchables started at the end of 2011. The end of 2012 seen EBW, and so on and so forth. Like, the royalty was running rampant at the end of 2014. 2015 left you with a lot of different questions.
And
What's going to happen next between Corey Lee and Ryan Grayson?
Well,
We've seen so many twists and turns from them being partners in Straight Edge Solution to them finally, patching everything up, going with Michaela into loyalty. Michaela becomes his manager. Michaela turns on him, goes with Corey Lee. Corey Lee with what seemed like a struggle with his Straight Edge. That's seen so many different twists and turns. And now we've seen Corey Lee come out on top and win his first ever New Age Championship. That's huge for Corey Lee, who has a Hall of Fame career, bar none, to win a championship for the first time ever, and it being one of his biggest feuds ever. Corey Lee didn't need to be in the top spot. He didn't need to be an XCW champion or be the main focus of this year to be a standout. That's how he did it. Which gives credit to Corey Lee, the fact that he don't have to be in a top spot to be important.
I think it's going to spawn quite a bit of stuff for them. And who knows, their feud might go throughout this year. The whole fucking year. Like it's the cynical Chris Jones thing. It always everlasting.
What impact are the two returns going to make? Void and Sin. We're not going to even talk about Streets. Because I don't know about that. I'm just going to leave it be. But...
It's a cliffhanger in itself.
But, yeah. But Sin and Void. Are they going to flake? Are they going to be solid? Both of them have extreme talents.
Yes.
Void could potentially one day be in a top spot. He was even considered to win Money in the Bank this year.
It's really funny, Void, because you've known him and his brother forever.
Yeah.
I've known them. Void, I'm going to use this. Void's like a ball of clay.
Okay.
You can mold it certain ways, and then it gets really hard in this one way to where it thinks it's going to work. And we can pretty much mold Void the way we need him to be.
Right.
And I think Void's going to, if he stays with us, he'll be able to step it up, get back up to international title picture and stuff like that. Whereas Sin, my response, man.
What do you guys think?
Void definitely has a lot to learn, but he has the potential to learn it, and he has the mindset to stick with it.
Yes.
It's more so the outside things, the things we, as a company, as a group, as friends, can't control, that are the big question with him.
Right.
Sometimes it might be with work or family, but, you know, where there's a will, there's a way to work things around. You know, you see it with me all the time. I go and I have to work overtime, but I come to the show, I do the show, and then I go, hey, look, help me sponge bath here, and I gotta go. Later, guys.
What do you think? Sin has got a completely different mindset this time around than he did the first time.
Both men are very, very talented.
Yes.
Sin actually, Void, he doesn't try too much to contact to get ideas. Sin has actually contacted to get ideas of things to do. Sin, while I'm out there training, has came out there and actually helped. Sin has more experience than coming in new than I've seen from anybody in a long time. But Void has a lot to give and a lot more than I expected. So I see both of them being breakouts this year, doing a lot more than what we ever thought they could do.
That's what I'm hoping.
Who's going to be the standout star in 2016? Between new guys and vets. Who's going to be a standout? Who's going to be the man that at the end of the year you're going to say he should be superstar of the year? I don't understand how he's not.
Veterans, I really think that this year that hopefully maybe it's Brandon Hobbs or Grayson that can really step up and be the veteran that leads the way. The new people coming in, I'm really pushing for maybe a Harris or even Stevie.
I think it's really hard to tell. I think there's a few different ones, and even a non-wrestler person that can step it up. I said Brandon, Harris. I think Emily Moore.
Right.
Think off the way we left off the year.
Yeah, she has left us with a lot more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Splitting up.
And outline herself with me, a person you would never thought in the show she would outline herself with.
She's completely 360'd against myself and Brandon Hobbs.
So maybe she's going to be the step-up person 2016.
Maybe.
Me personally, I think I want to see Sin go a lot further.
Is he international at best?
Sin I could see being more of a world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
What about Void?
Boys.
International at best.
Really?
Right now.
This year.
At
This year.
This
Okay,
year,
okay.
International.
Not bad.
Had Void not left early
Void would
2015,
have been a world champion by now.
Yes.
that says it all.
Okay, take that leave of absence for consideration.
What
okay?
if? What about
left?
Billy never left?
If Billy
Still
never
international at best.
left, no, because he would have been able to work with the crowd, with the locker room, and
Yes.
he would have probably been able.
You got to
to
think
stick-
when we come up with storylines. You got to think. We think in our mind, well, who's going to stick it out? You got to think with Brandon. If Brandon would have stayed the entire time instead of leaving for the short stint that he did, if he would have stuck here the entire time, how many more world championships would Brandon Hobbs have had by now?
That's true.
He would have wrestled Chris Jones by now.
But he's been straight up the last
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 years, and from that he's had some huge storylines, especially the one where he's champion in EBW.
The same thing happened. Same thing happened with Gurky. Gurky left.
Right.
Where would Gurky have been at by now?
Right.
If he'd have stayed. I vote Emily Moore.
In closing, though, on our topic on Men of Honor, Austin Chaos started out, or ended the year last year as the man. Bar none, he was untouchable in the show. He was our new Dylan Bostic. Put it that way. When Dylan Bostic wasn't always the most reliable either. But Dylan Bostic was a star, period. Especially in his feud with LOL towards the end of his XCW career and a part of the New Breeds situation. Austin Chaos was going to be our next big star, too. Everyone either wanted to work with him, loved working with him when they had worked with him, or when an opportunity came, Austin was the one that people wanted to get that push. Halfway through the season, Austin gets hurt. He goes out, misses the majority of the year, comes back hot. But you feel like there's something still missing when he came back, agreed, from what he had before. And I don't know why. And that may have just been my opinion.
I felt the same way.
But as the season progressed, it seems his wrestling skill, his focus, and his attendance all got worse. To the point where the last 3 or 4 shows of the season, Austin was nowhere to be found. Will Austin come back in 2016? Will Austin have any kind of impact on 2016? And if not, who is going to come back in 2016, your opinion, that's going to make one?
I don't think Austin's going to come back at all in 2016. I think as he moves on with him being in high school and stuff, as he moves on high school career and going towards college probably, I don't think he'll come back in 2016, but somebody that I do think will come back in 2016, I think Cynical. I think Cynical makes a return of some sort, and who's to say this time he doesn't team up with me this time?
Okay, what do you think?
I really don't think Austin would come back, and if he did, it'd be shaky at best on how well he's going to do. But as for somebody coming back, I'm really hoping to see Matt Chen show.
Okay.
Okay, I've got 2 that I really want to come back. First
Okay.
of all, because he's a friend, he's a great gimmick. Jesse Justice.
I thought you were going to say Max Destruction for a second.
Fuck. Well, to go on that subject, great stature. Okay.
Max?
He's tall.
We're not even going to discuss
Big
Max. Who's your other one?
Back to Jesse Justice.
Jesse Justice, I would love to see come back, whether it be a commentator, an interviewer, or
Right.
somebody.
Okay.
It would be great if he came back to wrestle for us.
Right.
But the other person would be Matt Central.
On Austin?
Austin,
Is he coming back? Do you think
I
he'll
feel like he's going to be a bust.
not come back?
He's got too much. His girlfriend's always wanting his nuts. You got the high school career that he's going, and like Chris Jones said, it might possibly lead into a college career.
And
You know
plus,
what I'm saying?
he's big in wrestling in high school as well.
Quit
Exactly.
wrestling.
He did?
Yes, he did. You're his family.
No, Austin will not be back. And person that I want to see come back would be Matt Chinchell. I just recently spoke to Matt, and I don't expect him to be back in the Army anytime soon after this stint, and he will be back eventually, I have a feeling.
In 2016.
I don't know about 2016. Would he make an appearance, hopefully? Oh, yeah. Maybe do something to cap things off with you, hopefully, in that fucking
Great.
thing.
What do you think?
Who would I like to see come back? Do I think he's going to come back? No. Would I love for him to come back? Absolutely. Vapor.
Fucking God, I miss that dude. Do you want to talk about Vapor?
No.
No.
I would
No.
love to see him back.
As for Austin Chaos coming back, I think yes. Austin will eventually come back, but it's not going to last.
I
And like we
God.
said, the whole time we've been talking, a bad thing happens and something spawns off of it.
yes.
The thing happened between me and Austin. We capitalized with the promo, burning the Canadian flag and stuff, pushing him away, and now gets to lead to me and Brandon.
Yes.
Do you think we're going to see any newcomers this year? Newcomers lacked in 2015. Are we going to see any newcomers in 2016?
I'm hoping.
I'm predicting 2.
I'm
Two?
wanting to get at least a handful. I want 5 people at least.
No?
I'm predicting 2.
All right, well,
I want 5 people.
from Braden Hobbs, Hazard, Ryan Grayson, Chris Jones, this has Men of Honor. The next time we're going to be here for episode number 36 for season 5, we're going to be talking about ladder matches and TLC matches. Until then, thank you. Have a good night.